What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday, August 4th, 2019. I'm Gun, twitter.com/Gundagger Sports. Man, that new Twitter, something made it. Man, happy Sunday to you guys. Hopefully, you guys are having a great summer. Summer's coming to a close here. I know school in my area goes back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So summer just flew on by. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here in a while, some of you guys have tweeted at me lately asking where the videos are, or did my YouTube channel get deleted? If you missed my last video, I put up a small video trying to explain the situation. But if you guys pay attention to several DFS mediums on YouTube, you might have seen that a couple of us with referral links in our video descriptions, like DraftKings.com/Gundecker, whatever the link is, kind of got slapped on the wrist. My channel got severely spanked. Like, I'm talking videos from like 2015, 2016. And essentially my channel is within one strike, or was within one strike of getting deleted. So put it on cooldown. We took all the videos offline and let the channel sit there. Do a little probation on the channel, and now we're getting close to NFL and NBA, where putting up content is a little bit more of a priority. During baseball, I haven't been putting up a lot of videos because these videos don't get a whole lot of clicks. It's just at the end of the day, for lack of a better term, what hasn't been worth my time. But it is a nice Sunday morning. I had a little bit of a early sleep, and somebody asked me on Tuesday, was like, "Hey man, I know you don't do a lot of videos, but if you picked a day to do a video, could it be Sunday?" Apparently, there's not a whole lot of other content on Sunday, so I was like, "Sure, why not? I'll try it this Sunday," because we have a lot of stuff coming up that we need to plug anyway, such as the return of NFL and NBA. And these special packages, these early bird specials, are honestly, they should have been down already. I haven't taken it down because I'm a poor website owner that doesn't. Poor is not the word. Procrastinating website owner. So I guess I'll leave it up for the day. So if you guys want to lock into VIP till January 1st, you get that for $400. If you want to lock until the Super Bowl, you get that for $500, and that'll include all of baseball, all the VIP stuff we do: baseball, basketball, NFL. But yeah, that'll be gone today, like tonight. It'll be gone, and then it'll be normal pricing, which will probably be an extra 100 on one, maybe an extra 200 on two, depending on what the math entails. There's an algorithm for that. But we also have weekly, monthly, 2-week passes. So you guys that are looking for the short-term stuff, that is there too. Essentially what this will entail is full access to all the research aids and recommendation sheets that I personally produce in the VIP section. And of course, you unlock access to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, which is a super awesome tool. It's way better. Like, you might hear people use Slack. This is like Slack on steroids, bro. Don't use Slack, right? Anyway, we're gonna talk some baseball today, man. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying this baseball season. I wish I had. I miss talking about baseball with you guys. As a Yankee fan, we're having a pretty fun season, and there was a whole lot of shake and bake in the last week with some trades: Trevor Bauer, Marcus Stroman, Zach Greinke, Aaron Sanchez, Joe Biagini in that one. So didn't really get to air out any thoughts on that, but it's okay. You guys follow me on Twitter, you probably get the gist of most of my thoughts for the Yankees, man. It's been one heck of a season where maybe we're overachieving when you consider the amount of injuries we have, and we've added more injuries to the yearly list in the last week. Luke Voit, and yesterday Edwin Encarnacion injured. So as we wait for Luis Severino, Dellin Betances to come back, Giancarlo Stanton to come back, we get more injuries. Edwin Encarnacion Sounds like he fractured his wrist, which could be months. And then, of course, Luke Voigt sounds like he could be 6 weeks. So luckily for us, the next man up has continued to deliver. Guys like Mike Tauchman coming through. Obviously, when Miguel Andujar went down, Giovanni Urshela stepped up in a massive way that actually made Andujar a little bit expendable. But I don't want to go on a big tirade here because I could talk all day about my beloved Yanks. One last thing before we jump into it. If you guys are looking for some NFL season-long action, I will be hosting several leagues this season likely, starting with the two big ones, a $100 10-man PPR ESPN League DraftKings scoring, and then a $50 12-man ESPN PPR DraftKings League. And then, of course, those are first pay, first serve. And if you're looking for, if we have more interest, we'll have I don't want to say leftover pool, but an overflow league. Because I usually hop in, 5 to 10 leagues this season and GM a lot of them. So if you guys are looking for that, looking for a source you can trust, hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/GundeckerSports, and we'll get you set up, man. Happy Sunday. Let's do this. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We got all 15 games today. We only have 9 on the main slate, so we'll just keep it to the main slate. But so much baseball today. We love all-day baseball. We'll start with game number 1, the Toronto Blue Jays at the Baltimore Orioles. Battle of the AL East. Sean Reed Foley taking a bump for the Blue Jays. He's 1-1 on the season with a 2.55 ERA. He's going to get another start after impressing in his first outing since being recalled from AAA Buffalo. He tossed 5 scoreless innings his last time out, and he owns a 2.5 ERA across 17 and 2/3 innings. 3 of those starts this season. Jimmy Yacobonis of the Orioles, 1-2 with a 7.34 ERA. Orioles liked the way it looked when Yacobonis opened for Tom Eshelman last week in Anaheim, so they're trying it again. Yacobonis will make his 4th start as an opener, followed by Eshelman for the bulk of the innings. Eshelman, who's a rookie, is 0-2 with a 6.35 ERA in 5 games this season. So we can really look at the MLB VIP spreadsheet here. And pretty much love what we're going to get out of pitching in terms of picking on him. Yacobonis, major xFIP to both sides of the plate, 6.32 to lefties, 5.77 to righties. Home run per 9 is massive. So as an opener, if he eats 1 or 2 innings, these are big-time shots for the Blue Jays. Bats seem to be awakening in the last couple days. Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Vlad Guerrero's been super hot. So all these guys match up pretty well. And then we take out Jimmy Yacobonis in the spreadsheet here. We'll put Tim Eshelman, and we'll load up some new stats here when it populates. We'll probably like what we're going to see there. The Blue Jays have an implied run total of 6.1. I guess Eshelman is in there incorrectly. Implied run total of 6.1, which is an elevated run total for a team like the Blue Jays this season. And the Orioles at 5.1. So both teams have a run total that you can kind of get behind, but I think the Blue Jays especially. Price per consideration here. Bo Bichette leading off 3,500 on FanDuel. DraftKings 4,300, likely leading off. I'll say that. Biggio pretty cheap. Gurriel's 5K on DraftKings. They're gonna make you pay for those more consistent high upside names. Same with Vladdy, but from a stack standpoint, I definitely think the Blue Jays make a ton of sense, and especially when you consider in their recent body of work, they've been doing fine. They've been scoring plenty of runs. They scored 4 runs in their last game against the Orioles. Wasn't a big game, but I think Dylan Bundy's probably their best pitcher before that. 5 runs against the Orioles, 11 runs against the Orioles, 9 runs a couple games ago against the Royals. 9 runs a couple games ago against the Blue Jays, 7 runs against the Royals. So we've had several games where the Blue Jays are showing a little bit of upside. I definitely think if you're a fan of this young core that the Blue Jays have developed, you have something to be excited about. Now, the pitching-wise might be a little different story, but definitely like these offensive pieces here. So I do think the Blue Jays are going to be a team I'm already going to pencil down as a stack that I'm very interested in. The advanced metrics are there. I'm going to pull up Eshelman's card on... It's Tom. Did I put in Tim Eshelman? It's Tom Eshelman. Let me see. Let me double check here just to make sure. Yeah, I did. All right. Eshelman against lefties, 6.17 xFIP. So you look at Biggio, Justin Smoke, maybe Freddie Galvis, who's been showing some power lately. High homer per 9 there. And then, of course, all this pretty much matches up just as well against righties. So there's really not a bad matchup projected for the first 6-7 innings for this Blue Jays team. So I certainly am confident that I will be using some Blue Jays stacks in my lineups today. What did we do with Sean Reed-Foley? So like I said, the Orioles have a implied run total of 5, which is, nothing to shake a stick at. But what's real and what's not right now with Sean Reed-Foley? So, he recently got called back up. I don't know if he was the guy that took Stroman's spot, but we do want to investigate what he's been doing in his minor league stretch here. So we'll look at his last couple games. We'll start July 28th, 21st, 13th. ERA up there, right? Not a whole lot of, not deep innings here, 1.543. So I'm probably not going to allow myself to get too creative, too cute here. High whip in every appearance. So this is nuts. Average allowed isn't terrible. He must be having a lot of walks. Yeah, man, had 5 walks in 4 innings against Pawtucket. I probably don't get myself to get behind some Sean Reed-Foley. It was worth a shot. I don't think I'm going to do it. Swing and strike rate, 11.5% this season. The ERA, half of what a Sierra and xFIP is, so that's likely not going to be a spot for me to pick him up here. Weaknesses that we've identified. I would guess with this hard contact, 46.9% hard contact to righties, there's likely a chance that maybe his home run per 9 is a little lower than what it should be. If I wanted to exploit that, I'd grab maybe like a Trey Mancini or something like that. But I'm not gonna go crazy here. I think a lot of these Orioles might come out. Lefty, right? I don't have a ton of sample size here against lefties from the big leagues. So let's go look at what he's done in the minors. 227 average allowed to lefties, 1.67 whip, 29 walks in 34 innings. That's not what you want. So, this guy looks like he could get nickel and dimed in terms of walks and whatnot. We know walks can set up the big inning, and maybe you grab a big fly ball out of one of these cats. K rates all pretty high. I don't know if this team is patient enough to really exploit these walks, but I don't think I'm going to have interest in Sean Reed-Foley here. I'm probably going to stay away from that. But I definitely pick up some of these Blue Jays bats. And, hey, if a couple of these Orioles bats fell into a lineup or two, the talent that speaks for themselves, guys like Mancini, maybe a touch of VR or something like that, I don't mind it. But just give me some Blue Jays bats. Let's move on to the next game here. White Sox at the Phillies. Man, Phillies are having some fun times on the baseball field in the last couple days. But they remain in it, man. They're only 1 or 2 games out of the wild card spot. And I figured that division with the Braves and Phillies and Nats, and I thought the Mets, but obviously that's dead and stinking. But I thought that division would be one of the tougher ones for playoff implications, and it's looking that way. White Sox are going to throw out Ronaldo Lopez. He'll be up against Drew Smyly. Ronaldo Lopez, 5-9 with a 5.43 ERA. He didn't have his best stuff in his last start Tuesday against the Mets, but he still managed to hold them to 2 runs over 5 1/3 innings. He has a 2.05 ERA and a 194 batting average allowed since the All-Star break, though. Drew Smyly, 2-5 with a 6.85 ERA. He's been a godsend through 2 starts with the Phillies. He has allowed just 1 earned run in 13 innings after struggling earlier this season with the Rangers. He's throwing his cutter more, which has been a factor to his success. We have definitely seen that a lot with left-handed pitching in baseball as guys start picking up a cutter, throwing it more. It pretty much rejuvenated CC Sabathia's career. We see a lot of lefties that are quote unquote declining, picking that up. Implied run total for the White Sox 4.3. The Phillies at 5.4. They're minus 157 favorite. White Sox on the season. A lot of strikeouts to lefties, a lot of strikeouts on the road. In the last 7 days, they have a 30.5% K rate, batting 208 with a 100 team ISO. So certainly some stats here that make you want to investigate Drew Smyly, but I'm a man of XFIP, I'm a man of Sierra, and yikes on the Drew Smyly side. But I will say, with increased usage in the cutter, I'll go ahead and look at some of the advanced metrics of recent games and to see if there's a lot more luck involved than we want or not. So if we look at the last couple starts, July 30th against the Giants, he went 7 innings, had an xFIP of 3.62. That's very respectable. Against the Pittsburgh Pirates, he had a 12 K per 9, 6 innings, 2.53 xFIP. But before that, the Indians were high. And then Cincy, 2.85. So Cincy, Pittsburgh, and the Giants against lefties, all teams that you can make a case that they struggle against lefties. We can go look at pitch type used here at Fangraphs.com. And we talk about this cutter. So 28, 31, 21% the last 3 games. Those are the games that we just talked about as xFIP. And the Cleveland game was elevated xFIP, but Pittsburgh and San Francisco worked out just fine. So we'll go check out the pitch report in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. So cutter usage on the season is going to be sitting at 13%. But if we put that at 30% and to compare it with cutter ratings for these hitters, Garcia, Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, the only ones with slightly positive linear ratings against the pitch. So, I mean, you could start building a tournament case here for Smyly. I'm not going to get excited about it. The guy's swinging strike rate is not really what I look for. His advanced metrics not really what I look for. And that cutter, what does that cutter sit at? 86.7 miles an hour. I guess you don't need a ton of velocity. I don't know, man. No warm and fuzzies here. If I had to circle back and double down, consider it's a maybe. But I'll probably stay away for now. I don't know that I feel like I lose a tournament because I missed out on Drew Smyly. The bats, though. Let's talk about bats. So if I was going to grab some White Sox bats, it's likely just guys like Jose Abreu, maybe a Tim Anderson if he grabs a good spot in the lineup, maybe Lurie Garcia. There are a couple guys here who hit lefties with a high average. So I'm not going to go crazy about Ryan Goins. Lefty versus lefty, but the top 3 in this projected lineup look just fine to me. On the Philly side against Ronaldo Lopez, Lopez can give up some pop, especially against lefties. A 1.74 home run per 9 this season to lefties with a 296 average allowed. That's pretty consistent with his overall metrics, 35.5% hard contact rate, high fly ball rate, high xFIP allowed. So there'll be several lefties I can put in my back pocket. I think Cesar Hernandez, if he leads off, pretty nice value here. Could potentially offer us some stolen bases if he does get on the bag. Bryce Harper. That's a name a lot of people like to pick on, like to hate on. But in the last 2 weeks, Bryce Harper, or I'll say in the last week, we've seen a pair of homers from him. So maybe starting to wake up. He is taking his walks, 12 walks in his last 38 at-bats. Maybe put him in your back pocket at 4.4 on DraftKings or something like that. Certainly lines up metrically against Ronaldo Lopez as somebody that might succeed. Lopez, fastball, slider, changeup. Of course, we know Bryce Harper against the fastball is basically the main pitch that he's looking for. Against righties, Ronaldo Lopez does a little bit better, 4.35 xFIP and a 25% K rate, 1-4. That's amazing. His home run per 9 is still kind of up there. I think his home run per 9 maybe is too high for just a 35% hard contact rate. Matches up with the fly ball rate and whatnot. I think there's room for regression there, but at the same time, Hoskins, maybe Segura, guys like that, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at. Phillies have an implied run total of 5.4. The White Sox bullpen, 4.24 overall ERA, so it's not the worst, not the best. I'm probably not going to stack any Phillies here, but if a couple of these guys fell in my pockets or fell into my lineups, I wouldn't mind a couple shares here. Neither pitcher makes me excited $7,200 for Ronaldo Lopez. Maybe if this is a different park, I might say, all right, I can get 14 to 18, maybe to 20 here. But I think overall, I'm gonna stay away from both pitchers here. I just don't see it. I might have to round back. I don't want this to be one of those slates where I'm like, I don't like pitching. I do think pitching is going to pick up here in the next couple games. So this is going to be a game that just exists to me, and I might cherry pick from it for now. If I got to come back and scoop up some more, some higher concentration levels of hitters, I will. But for now, we'll move forward here and check out the next game. Marlins at the Rays. We've got Caleb Smith, my Huntsville High School classmate, up against Yanni Chirinos. Some people hear Yanni, other people hear Laurel, but I hear Yanni. 7-4 on the season. Caleb Smith, he's got a 3.43 ERA. Since he sat out most of June with a left hip inflammation, Smith has thrown 3 quality starts in 5 outings, posting a 3.48 July ERA. On Monday, he allowed 4 runs on 4 hits while striking out 9 and walking 1 over 7 innings against the Diamondbacks. He'll be up against Chirinos. He'll be making his 23rd appearance of the season and his 17th start. In 16 previous starts, Chirinos has a 3.64 ERA over 96 and a third inning of work. So this is a game where pitchers, I start, my eyebrows go up a little bit more because I do think we can carve out a couple cases for both of these pitchers. Caleb Smith. We'll start with him. First of all, the price is a little bit elevated for comfort, right? With the Marlins, you can't ever bank on a win. So you kind of take that out of the equation. You're like, all right, this guy's going to be a great play. He's going to do it with his skill, and we're not going to hold our breath on the dub. Implied run total for the Marlins 3.4, Rays 4.7. Rays this season striking out almost 27% of the time against left-handed pitching. A guy like Caleb Smith can certainly bring out the most in that. The Rays do have a little bit of a different look offense against lefties than maybe what we saw in April, June, months like that. Matt Duffy, Mike Brousseau, and we know perennial lefty master guys like Avisail Garcia, Tommy Pham, Travis d'Arnaud, guys like that. They're going to make it tough, right? It's not like I look at this lineup and like, oh yeah, I got to play a lefty against that. But we have seen some success. So in a tournament standpoint, when I look at everything that Caleb Smith brings to the table, certainly has the strikeout potential, extremely high K percentage, high swing and strike rate. It's certainly plausible that Caleb Smith finds himself in a plus park, Tropicana Field, and an opportunity to maybe give us 20 plus on DraftKings, 25, something like that, and maybe a quality start. Not going to be a warm and fuzzy, right? It's not going to be at the top of the list, but he probably will early on pencil his name down as someone to come back to after we look through all of the games. Yanni Chirinos, 79 on FanDuel, 86 on DraftKings. I think that's a SP2 option. 8,600. If you can give me 16 to 20, we're in business. We don't expect a ton of longevity out of him out of games, but it's not like he's one of the classic openers that go 1 or 2 innings. This guy could probably eat 5 or 6 innings if he's cruising. Swing and strike rate for him, 10.5%, nothing crazy. Probably gets a couple of built-in strikeouts. Garrett Cooper's been striking out almost 30%. Curtis Granderson's at 27% this in the last 2 seasons against righties. We got an extremely high K rate here for a guy like Jorge Alfaro if he hits the lineup. Cesar Puello. So there's a couple of maybe a shot at a strikeout per inning, something like that for Chirinos. If he went through 5 innings, 5 strikeouts, and a shot to win, certainly think that could build a case for 2.5x value on DraftKings. You would love to see 6 innings out of him. Maybe that's a stretch. Maybe you're asking for a lot, but it is the Marlins. They're a Jekyll and Hyde team. One day, pitchers will slaughter them. If you look at their last week of work, 26% K rate for the Marlins with a 213 batting average and a .08 ISO. So a guy like Chirinos, his main bugaboo is a 1.76 home run per 9 to righties. If they're not going to hit with a lot of pop and make them suffer, man, I definitely think I could take a stab or two at Chirinos as a SP2 here. Any names jumping off the page? Not really. Caleb Smith doesn't allow a high enough average for me to be in love or enamored with the Rays stack, but certainly Just in general, if you threw a Tommy Pham or a Garcia against a lefty, it would certainly make a lot of sense here. But low run total for both teams, pitchers park, stuff like that. I'm not gonna go crazy stacking these teams. But both pitchers, I'm writing in pencil on my yellow legal pad. Right. Let's move on to the next game. Angels taking on the Cleveland Indians. Angels are throwing Yame Barria, and he'll be up against Shane Bieber. Barria went 5 innings and a loss against the Tigers his last time out. He surrendered 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 4 hits. He was hurt by 2 home runs. Shane Bieber, 10-4 on the season with a 3.4 ERA. He has made 1 career start against the Angels. He gave up 2 runs in 5 2/3 frames with 7 strikeouts last season. In his last outing, Bieber allowed 2 runs on 9 hits with 8 strikeouts in 7 innings against the Astros. So Astros a pretty high talent team. Today he'll be up against the Angels. So Angels on paper, like, they don't make you run and hide, right? But the strikeout rates overall are respectable. There are some high K guys, Justin Upton, Cole Calhoun, Matt Dice right now, but a lot of low K guys as well. A 19.7% K rate for the team in the last 7 days, a 180 ISO. Guys like Fletcher, Mike Trout, Ohtani are going to make you work to get those strikeouts. So I do think Bieber's going to be one of those guys that, for his talent, probably hits my player pool. His Sierra is what you want, 3.31. I imagine that's going to be one of the lowest, if not the lowest, on the slate. Looks like it's going to be right below Justin Verlander. So the talent's there, and I think the talent alone will have him in my pool. Then you start debating if the price is right for upside in tournaments, and I think it's fine. You know, I don't sweat too much over a pitcher getting me 40 or whatever. Like last night, I got a ton out of Walker Buehler. Right, that's super. Best case scenario upside. Generally speaking, I don't want a pitcher in my pool at 10K if I can't get a minimum 25 out of him. I think it's possible that he gets that here. A little bit worried. A lot of high averages in the top of this order. So I'll be probably bouncing back and forth with it. Certainly, we don't look at Shane Bieber's stats here and want to pick on him, right? A 30% K rate to lefties and righties is insane. At medium home run per 9. The hard contact's really high, but he's back at, like, he's able to suppress that with some high strikeout rates and low walk rates. So a lot of his homers are likely going to be solo shots, stuff like that. So if he gives one up to Trout or somebody like that and still able to have, strikeout per inning or something like that, I think I can live with it. I certainly don't think I'm going to have any interest in Yami Barria, but I will say this. A lot of the Indians' best hitters that we like to target, Lindor, Santana, Jose Ramirez, Jason Kipnis, they all bat lefty, and Barria does hold his own against lefties, particularly in terms of strikeouts, 31.5% K rate. So could he have a troll game here where maybe he's not a great fantasy play, but he doesn't get rocked because he's able to, every other bat? Maybe. Indians have an implied run total of 5.4. They're a minus 197 favorite, by the way. I like this Indians lineup, I'll say. It got very fun when you threw in Puig and Franmil Reyes from the Reds and the Padres, respectively. And Roberto Perez, man, he's been hitting some homers lately. So the lineup itself is kind of fun. We know that the Angels bullpen doesn't have any lefties in it, right? They're a righty-heavy bullpen, so even in past Barria, who probably, if you get 5 innings out of him, you're probably lucky. I still think the Indians are likely in a good spot for 9 innings of plus matchups for these lefties. So I'm curious with an Indian stack, a little bit. Barria, I have no interest in pitching him. Particularly have interest in exploiting his righty splits. These guys like Oscar Mercado, who hits for a high average, hits with a little bit of pop, and steals a lot of bases. Get him on the bag, swipe it or two. Yasiel Puig could pick up huge here. Puig has had a 20.8% K rate in the last year against righties. it's a spot where this is a guy that's not going to strike you out. It's going to give you an opportunity to put the ball in play and hit the ball. Barria with a 2.38 home run per nine right now and a 41.3% hard contact rate. Same with Franmil Reyes. So I do think these righties offer some extreme value on FanDuel. 2,800 for Reyes, 32 for Puig. I'm just saying there's enough pop there that I'm interested in. Mercado's going to cost you, but I'm a little bit interested in these Indians here, and they're probably early on going to be a team I jot down as a stack. So if you're taking notes right now, I've written down Blue Jays and Indians as two teams I'm interested in stacking. And then, of course, Mike Trout's always a play. 5,800 on DraftKings, man. He really, really, really makes you go up there and get him, but he's Mike Trout. We'll move on to the next game. Cincinnati Reds taking on the Atlanta Braves. Keep an eye on the weather for this one. I don't usually fret weather on a all-day slate or something like that. They usually try to get it in, especially a lot of these games being the last game of the series. They usually try to get it in, but according to this page I'm looking at, there is a little bit of potential rain. So if you got a trusted weather source for DFS, just stay connected. Sonny Gray taking a bump for the Cincinnati Reds. He is 6-6 with a 3.45 ERA. He acknowledged not having his best stuff during Monday's 11-6 win over the Pirates. His streak of 5 straight quality starts ended, but he's still 3-1 with a 2.42 ERA over his last 6 games. He'll be up against Julio Teheran. He's 6-7 with a 3.38 ERA. Teheran credits improved fastball command for the 1.48 ERA he posted in 5 July starts. He allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 14 of his last 16 starts. Incredible stat there. So is Teheran in play here? I think it's a maybe. 8K on DraftKings, 8,500 on FanDuel. Reds look a little bit different than they did a couple weeks ago. A couple of these names you may not be highly familiarized with, guys like Josh Van Meter and Aquino, who homered last night. But still an opportunity here for me to have some early interest in a guy like Julio Teheran. I like those 8K area guys as SP2 options. If we look at what Teheran's offered us as a DraftKings SP2 in the last, 6 starts, 21 fantasy points against Miami, 18 against the Padres, 18.4 against the Nats, 21.9 against the Royals, 21.6 against the Nats. We've seen his pitch count in those games be anywhere from 83 to 109. So there's enough length in his arm for me to have some interest. I know before that there was a stretch of ugliness, just 5 fantasy points against the Mets, negative against the Cubs and Mets prior to that. But generally speaking, this guy at home against the Reds, I'm interested. 22.8% K rate at home this season, a 226 average allowed, and a .81 home run per 9. The ISO for the Reds in the last week has been high, but the average is low, and the K percentage is high. So I'm a little bit interested as purely an SP2. I don't think I get to Julio on a site like FanDuel or something like that. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, but on DraftKings as an SP2 at 8K, can you get me a floor of 16 with some upside of 20 plus? I think it's possible. Again, weather's going to be an asterisk to everything we say right now, but I think the price is right. Sonny Gray, on the other hand, he's been great for the team, great for fantasy this season. He's still an uncomfortable click for me because I had such a frustrating time with him with the Yankees. But 8,100 on DraftKings, he strikes out lefties a whole heck of a lot. Lefties are the guys like Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Brian McCann, Ender Inciarte. If you can get past those guys with a couple strikeouts and then live against those righties where his K rate is still a respectable 26%. At 8,100 himself, I can see that paying off. We know his ground ball rate is extremely high. The Braves are one of those teams I don't get out of bed to pitch against, but some of the metrics here for Sonny Gray at his price on DraftKings feels like you can make a case to fit him in there. Because I'll be honest, I'm probably not super stoked to stack Reds or stack Braves here. So I mean, if I'm not gonna have some stock in a team, then maybe I'll take a stock in the pitcher. Braves in the last 7 days, 30.2% K rate, 214 average, and a .08 team ISO. So they're in a little bit of a rut here. And maybe we can pick on them a little bit more while they're down. But no warm and fuzzies on Sonny Gray. Tehran, I feel a little bit better about, but I probably shouldn't, right? The XFIPs, the advanced metrics say, hey, Sonny Gray's the better pitcher this year. So both pitchers are in the pool. If I wanted to pick on either of these pitchers, or just by looking at metrics here, I mean, no one really screams at me against Sonny Gray. If I wanted to pick on Tehran, he has a 1.23 overall home run per 9 this season against righties. If we get past that K rate, and his ground ball rate, who's a guy that maybe can elevate the ball, not strike out. Nick Senzel, no, he strikes out pretty high. I don't know, man. I think I can. I think if if Jesse Winker led off or something like that, Josh Van Meter, somebody like that, if they hit some lineups, sure. I know that Tehran has had some lefty struggles in the past, and he can walk lefties, but no one's screaming at me here, so I do think I probably don't stack either of these teams unless something like weather came out and there was a chance that rain could impact these pitchers in the middle of the game or something like that, and we had some less than stellar bullpen arms come out, and that might create some unique tournament opportunities. But for the most part, I think this game doesn't scream offense to me, and I'll probably grab some of these pitchers if the weather permits. Let's move on to the next game. Mets at the Pirates. We've got Noah Syndergaard, who did not get traded, up against Joe Musgrove. Syndergaard, a.k.a. Thor, he's got a 4.1 ERA this season. He's 7-5. He's going to look to keep his strong second half rolling in 4 starts since the All-Star break. Syndergaard owns a 1.91 ERA with 36 strikeouts and 7 walks in 28 1/3 innings. Joe Musgrove, 8-9 with a 4.23 ERA. After a shaky outing against the Cardinals at home, Musgrove bounced back with a quality outing against the aforementioned Cincinnati Reds. He held the Cincinnati Reds to 2 runs on 5 hits over 6 innings to snap the Pittsburgh 9-game losing streak. Price-wise, Musgrove, 6,200. He's probably going to raise a couple eyebrows because people love cheap pitching. And then Syndergaard, 10.5 on DraftKings against a Pirates team with a sub-20% K rate, a decent ISO. I'm curious to see how the field reacts to this. So first thing I'm going to do is go pull up Syndergaard's FanGraphs card. And I want to keep an eye on his pitch type game log because all season long I've been kind of watching, observing, hearing about his slider usage, his slider velocity dropping. And then lately, we've been seeing him use that slider a little bit more. And that slider was his premium pitch, right? That was his put-out pitch, get a strikeout. He used to be famous for throwing 91, 92 mile-an-hour sliders. Earlier this season, we've seen games where he used the slider as little as 1%, 7%, 9%, 4%. Last 4 games, 18%, 26%, 22%, 20%. And these are some of his best games of the season. And not just using the slider, but the velocity is up a little bit on that slider. You see 89 miles an hour on this slider, 88.9, 89.8. So we could get close to 90. That's where we're in business. Earlier this season, 87 mile an hour sliders, 87, 86. So you definitely want a little bit more zip on it, and we've been seeing that. Fantasy-wise, he just went 7.1 innings against the White Sox, 35 fantasy points, 11 strikeouts, 11-3 ground ball to fly ball ratio in that game. The game prior, San Diego Padres, 12-4 ground ball fly ball ratio with 18 fantasy points, 25 fantasy points against the Giants, 30 against the Marlins. So we're seeing a little bit of the Thor upside lately, with 3 of his last 4 games giving you 25 to 35 fantasy points. So I think because of that, we peel off the first layer, and we're a little bit interested in seeing if he can bring us a decent game here today. I against lefties is what I think we need to focus on. Frazier, Brian Reynolds, Josh Bell, Melky Cabrera, Colin Moran, all guys that are projected to be in this lineup, and he could just see just one righty in his first 5-6 hitters. And against lefties, his xFIP is a little bit more elevated. Average allowed up there. Still maintains a high ground ball rate, but the line drive rate is up a little bit for Thor in terms of his lefty-righty splits. Just 14% against righties, almost 24% against lefties. So there's a little bit of cause for concern there. The park is fine. I'm not too worried about it. I will say the park this season has been seeing more runs than what PNC usually does. But if you've taken a moment to really look at the park factors this season, it is bizarro world. Matter of fact, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Last time I looked, like Yankee Stadium had the lowest runs per game. And yeah, Yankee Stadium's at the bottom, and PNC Park was second. I don't believe they made massive changes to the place for this to all of a sudden be a hitter's park. So I'm going to be maybe calling for an anomaly, or maybe the juice ball is really shaking things up because this park has also played plus for homers. If you look at last season for homers, it was below average. So I don't know what's going on, but yeah, park factors are certainly getting shooken up right now. So don't freak out. Musgrove's probably not going to be in play for me. If I want to pick on Musgrove, I want really good left-handed bats, and the Mets have a couple of them, namely Jeff McNeil, batting .335 this season, or excuse me, since the beginning of last season against righties. He's one of the league leaders in batting average this season. Very low K rate, slugging over 500. This is a big-time spot for him to exploit a guy like Musgrove, who this season at home has a 1.75 home run per 9. So I like that spot for him. You could maybe stretch that case for Conforto a little bit more, but I feel better with a guy like McNeil. So if McNeil finds himself leading off in this spot, I'm certainly going to be a buyer. Past that, I'm not going to jam in any Mets particularly or go out of my way to grab them, but I certainly think, if Alonso or maybe Wilson Ramos as a catcher fell in my lineup or something like that. I think Ramos homered yesterday. I don't mind a shot at them. Pirates, what can we pick on Thor with, man? If we get some base runners here, he can give up some stolen bases for sure. Maybe a guy like Adam Frazier, Starling Marte certainly. And then I'm not going to run away from Brian Reynolds. I mean, look at all this green here. This entire team is batting .270 or better essentially against right-handed pitching. So it's definitely not a team I'm lining up to pitch against. So Thor kind of piques my interest because of what he's done lately. The Mets seem to have this team or player-led campaign to make a historic run. Picking up Marcus Stroman. I know Peter Alonso wrote this big statement that, hey, we're gonna play. So maybe Thor's bought into all that, and this is one of those games where he really goes out there and proves that what he's doing is real. But man, this Pirates team does not strike me as a team I want to really pick on. Batting .274 on the season against righties, .276 at home, low K rate. We're talking sub 20%, medium ISO. I probably say no to Thor here, but I definitely say yes to a couple of these Mets here. And this is one of those spots where I say no to Thor, and then I don't want to stack against them. But you take out the names here, we're seeing some numbers that make a lot of sense, especially average against and high WOBAs, high hard contact rates, low K rates. I mean, if you had a couple of Pirates in your player pool, I don't think metrically it's a mistake. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to be cautious on Syndergaard. I'm not likely to play Joe Musgrove. Just really nothing for me to... The K rate against lefty has me scared. If this lineup for the Mets has 3 or less lefties, which is what is projected to right now, Robbie Cano, Conforto, Jeff McNeil, there is a case for Musgrove to have a 1-4 strikeout per righty, low average allowed. I mean, that is there. But at 6,200, I could see people taking this gamble. It's the Mets. I don't have the warm and fuzzies right now. I don't. Let me go look at his home versus righties. Maybe there's some extreme road split going on. Now, obviously, there's a split that's jacking up his home run per nine because he's got a 1.75 home run per nine, which is like .6 higher than his season home run per nine to lefties and or righties. So let's go home versus righties. 226 average allowed, 38 strikeouts in 35 innings. So it's been better at striking out righties at home. The 6 homers in those 35 innings. There's your problem right here. And 6 homers at home against lefties in 26 innings. That's rough, man. 278 average allowed to lefties at home too this season. I wonder what that's about. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not excited to play Joe Musgrove. 6,200. I see a lot of people give me 10 points. We're in it. Maybe on DraftKings as an SB2, but I'm not there. Mets have an implied run total of 4.6. Pirates 3.9. Let's move on to the next game. Seattle Mariners, who had exactly 0 hits last night against Aaron Sanchez and the bullpen, take on Justin Verlander. So it's getting better. It's getting better for the Mariners. Things are looking up. LOL, smiley face. I've got Tommy Malone listed as the starter or long man for the Mariners, and of course Justin Verlander putting together a brilliant season, 14-4, but it's 2.73 ERA. Verlander has recorded at least 11 strikeouts in each of his last 3 games, giving him 31 double-digit strikeout games in his career, 6 this season. He's 4-0 with a 1.44 ERA in his last 4 starts, and he leads the majors with a .81 whip on this season. Mariners last place in the division. Kick them while they're down. It would be #DFS, #baseball for them to smack up Verlander, but I'm a man of numbers, I'm a man of stats, and this seems like Justin Verlander is your top play of the day in all formats. 12K even on both sites. The strikeout rates are through the roof. The matchup is through the roof. Mariners are just not great at baseball right now. They've sold and added a lot of high K rate guys. Domingo Santana, Tim Beckham, Keon Broxton. We're talking 27, 31, 37% K rates, and then everyone in this projected lineup has a 20% or greater K rate, and that's 1 in 5 or better. So Verlander's in an excellent spot to continue his double-digit strikeout streak. The Astros will likely be pushing maybe -300 favorite on the money line today. So it's a huge spot for Verlander. And then, of course, picking on the Mariners pitching, I'm fine with that. Tommy Malone, 1.89 home run per 9 to righties this season with a 4.99 xFIP. He gives up homers to lefties as well. He's never been a guy I'm scared of. His swing and strike rate, 10.7%. High ERA, high Sierra, high xFIP. Astros have been clicking. You can certainly sell me on some George Springer, some Altuve against the lefty, Brantley against anyone, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, who don't shy away from him just because it's a lefty on the bump, man. This guy's smacking lefties just as much, if not more, than righties right now. Slugging .786 against lefties. That's stupid. I know the sample size is likely small, but it's still just stupid. It's stupid. Let's pull up his card. This guy's a beast. He's an animal. He's a monster. Going splits against for Alvarez against lefties. We've got 42 at bats. You ready for this? 42 at bats with 5 home runs, batting .357. He has a higher batting average and more homers per plate appearance or at bat against lefties. So 100%. You spin the wheel, make a deal with any of these Astros. They make my lineup. They'll be one of my top stacks of the day. Justin Verlander, if I can get him, I'm getting him. I think Justin Verlander's price, more so on DraftKings, is going to make the field sweat out Joe Musgrove a little bit more. Because I can certainly see a lot of people want the price savings on Musgrove. I can see them being down on the Mets. I can see them saying, hey, if this guy gets me 10, I'm happy. And then it lets you fit in Verlander and then get a couple pennies to jamming some of these Stroh's bats. So I can see that a lot, which makes me wonder. But give me Verlander abso-freaking-lutely. No Tommy Milone here. No, none of these Mariners bats, all of the Astros bats. This is a pretty easy game to break down. Let's move on here. Twins hosting the Kansas City Royals. Brad Keller up against Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi 7,800 on DraftKings, right? 7,600 on FanDuel. Brad Keller 69 on DraftKings. Nice, 78 on FanDuel. So close price range on FanDuel. Brad Keller 7-10 with a 4.01 ERA. He pitched better than his line in a loss to Toronto last time out. He gave up 4 runs on 8 hits over 7 innings. All 4 runs came via home run, 2 solo shots and a 2-run shot, and each came on a hanging slider. Jake Odorizzi 12-5 on the season, 3.73 ERA. He bounced back from a career worst start, 9 runs against the Yankees to limit the Marlins to 1 run on 4 hits over 5 2/3 innings on Tuesday. I had a lot of them that night. I'm a little salty because he's been one of many pitchers that I've had lately for FanDuel. They go 5.2 innings. I don't know what this is about. I'm tired of my guys getting yanked with 1 out from a quality start. He's allowed 8 runs over 10 innings and 2 starts against the Royals this season. That's not what you want. Generally speaking, though, at this price, we're liking the K rates. We're not liking the XFIPs, high XFIP to lefty, high XFIP to righties, but the K rates are up there. The home run per 9 to lefties is not what you want. How many lefties on this Royals team are we looking at for some power? Maybe you make a case for a guy like Alex Gordon, Ryan O'Hearn, guys like that. But generally speaking, it's Jorge Soler, and it's not a whole lot else that I'm looking at for power out of the Royals. So if you wanted to gamble on Odorizzi getting you 2x value, I wouldn't talk you off of it. But I certainly wouldn't have the warm and fuzzies. Brad Keller is going to be a no for me, dog. Twins are en fuego. Nelson Cruz with 3 home runs yesterday. Absolutely insane. I loved it because I had 100% of it. I just saw Nelson Cruz. I saw Danny Duffy. I was like, yeah, I'm playing that. And then when he double donged, I was like, Yahtzee. And then when he triple donged, it was pants off. 3 of my core players last night for both sites, but particularly on DraftKings, we had Sanchez, Walker Buehler, and Nelson Cruz. I mean, those 3 pretty much cashed you by themselves. And then, of course, those 3 were staples of my lineups on FanDuel as well. So I love Walker Buehler nights, man. I don't know why people sleep on that guy, but he crushes it for me. And then, of course, Nelson Cruz was massive. And he wasn't alone. I mean, a lot of Twins put up a lot of runs. The Twins put up a lot of runs. There was other homers going around, CJ Cron, guys like that. So, good day for, or good stretch for the Twins here. They have an implied run total of 6 runs, which is one of the highest on the day. I think it might be the highest on this slate. Plenty of juice there to go grab. Behind Brad Keller is one of the worst bullpens in baseball, 4.76 bullpen ERA with a 272 batting average allowed, 1.52 whip. Yeah, give me them all. Brad Keller against lefties. Big ground ball guy, not going to give up a lot of homers, but high line drive rates, high walk rates to lefties. So if they can jam a lot of lefties up there and make them sweat, I'm just certainly interested in stacking them up. And maybe just a little bit of Odorizzi, just for some salary savings. I think, if I'm looking for SP2s right now, I'm definitely considering guys like Julio Teheran, Sonny Gray. Odorizzi kind of introduces himself into the conversation here. I don't know how many lineups we can put, 12K Verlander with one of these 7, 8K guys and still feel comfortable about our bats, but I'm certainly interested in testing Odorizzi here. What's the weather like in Minnesota? We got projected temps of 87 degrees. So under 90 degrees, I'm not going to go crazy, but no Keller likely for me. I will say this. Keller strikes me as one of those spoiler pitchers where you get excited to run this twin stacks. They were on fire last night, put up a ton of runs, and then you face Brad Keller, who could have 15 ground balls in 5 innings and steal a bunch of outs. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I know that swing and strike rate's low, the K percentage is low, but man, we're talking 55% ground ball rate to righties, 48% to lefties, low fly ball rate, hard contacts up there. And again, like I said, to lefties, he does walk them and he does give up line drives, but not a whole lot of homers. And homers are king for stacks. That's what we want. On the road, 0.79 home run per nine this season as well. High average, though, 272 average allowed. But, yeah, I think just based on implied run total, Twins have to enter as a top stack or a targeted stack. I think the Astros will be my top stack so far, but getting them with Verlander shares is going to be very challenging, if at all possible. I've got one game left to talk about. We do. So before we do that, we'll take a pause for the cause and remind you guys that, hey, we're still doing it, man. I haven't been put up a lot of daily baseball videos because, like I said, this video probably gets lucky to get 100 to 300 views, but I wanted to do it, sure. But we're still here grinding literally every day. And every day before lock, we hang out in the Discord. On Sundays is kind of like my day off, but I still stick around for maybe an hour before lock. But typically speaking, I'm around 2 hours before lock in the voice chat. You guys can discuss some stuff, ask questions, give ideas, give suggestions. We have some fun in there. It's kind of fraternal. I expect a lot more foot traffic in the coming weeks with NFL and NBA coming back. You guys know how we did for NFL and NBA last year. So it's kind of the end of summer here for the Discord here. It's been kind of quiet. So if you guys are looking to jump back in it, man, we're waiting on you. RunDFS.com. Like I said, you can lock in for the end of the year, January 1st special, or until the Super Bowl Sunday. For what's that, 500? That'll be today only. It's gone tonight. So if you guys want some of that, man, come hit us up at RunDFS.com. That'll get you everyday access to all the spreadsheets, all of the voice chats, my recommended picks. You guys know I'm pretty good about dressing up my tiers and whatnot for football and basketball. MLB's a little bit more loose, right? Because I'm such a hot, mass entry guy for stacking and whatnot. But it's going to get tightened up pretty nicely for NFL and NBA coming up. So we'd love to have you. If you got anything else for me, twitter.com/GundackerSports. DMs are open. Last game of the slate here. Milwaukee Brewers up against the Chicago Cubs. Cubs implied run total is not out yet. It's going to be Adrian Hauser taking on Yu Darvish. This one in Wrigley. So I always look at wind first. Doesn't look like wind's going to be an issue here. Hauser, 4-4 with a 3.99 ERA. He rejoined the rotation on Tuesday at Oakland and delivered 5 solid innings on a very nice 69 pitches. He should be able to pitch deeper into this game against the Cubs if circumstances allow it as he gets stretched out. Yu Darvish, 3-5 with a 4.46 ERA. He had a hard luck loss in Tuesday against St. Louis where he allowed 2 runs, 6 innings, and ended with 9 strikeouts versus 0 walks. He has a 2.25 ERA with 30 strikeouts and 2 walks in 24 innings in the second half of the season since the All-Star break. He's 9K on DraftKings, 8,300 on FanDuel. Brewers, of course, will come out probably pretty balanced with righties and lefties. We could see a lot of lefties in succession with Yelich, Grandal, Mike Moustakas. But this is one of those yuck matchups, I guess. I don't love to pick on the Brewers, although I would say pitchers against the Brewers have probably done better than a lot of us would think. But in the last week, Brewers hitting that 300 average with a 210 ISO. That's what you want. Yu Darvish against lefties, a 2.28 home run per 9. That is a date with destiny against Christian Yelich, who's absolutely hitting everything out of the park. 654 slugging this season against righties, a 332 average. So that certainly matches up extremely well for Christian Yelich. You could throw in a guy like Moustakas or Grandal if you need a catcher, but I think Yelich versus Yu Darvish is looking like the matchup to watch here if you're trying to project home runs. Matter of fact, I'm wondering, what was his bomb rating here? Yelich had a 3.84 bomb rating, so that's close to 4. certainly something to pick up on. Adrian Hauser this season looking pretty solid against righties, a 2.79 xFIP, 26.5% K rate. But against lefties, a 323 average allowed with a very high walk rate, a high hard contact rate. That's something to keep an eye on as we get more and more sample size. He's 5K. So if people are going to consider Joe Musgrove at 6K to kind of offset a Justin Verlander pricing while going after those big stacks, the Twins, the Astros, I would have to assume that people consider a guy like Adrian Hauser just at 5K. He's basically a bat at that point. Give me what a bat could give me, anything between 8 to 15 points, and I think you're in business. That line of thinking for punting at pitcher, I get it. He's got a 3.99 Sierra this season, 4 Sierra in Wrigley, wind blowing in a little bit. Temps are an 80-40. I get it. I get the price. He 69 pitches last start. If you stretch out 15 pitches a start, you get him up to 84, 85 pitches. Maybe he can eat some innings for you, but I wouldn't even. I couldn't even. If I played him, it would just be like, all right, whatever happens, happens. Can't hold my breath on 5-6 innings here. But I get it. We need something to jam in Justin Verlander for DraftKings. Is there upside in this matchup? I don't see a ton of built-in strikeouts. Javi Baez, Kyle Schwarber, Yu Darvish could be built-in 1 or 2 strikeouts, but for the most part, there's a lot of green here. So it'd be purely a punt situation. Let's go check out his pitch type in the pitch report in RunDFS.com. MLB VIP spreadsheet. We're going to see a lot of fastball. 68.2% fastball so far, 94.5 miles an hour. That's a plus pitch on a linear scale. It's got a negative rated slider so far, a negative curve, a negative change. So you're living and dying by this fastball here. And then, of course, Jason Hayward, Nicholas Castellanos, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo all have plus grades against the fastball. So I don't want to be that guy. But if I was going to have some shares of Hauser to fit in Justin Verlander, I feel like I would back that up with some hedge stacks here and grab some of these Cubbies, especially the ones that profile well against the fastball, whatnot. The bullpen for the Brewers hasn't been as elite shut down as you remember them from last year. Guys like Josh Hader and Corey Knebel shutting things down. It hasn't been that tight this season. So if a Cubs lineup or a Cubs stack came through in the afternoon, last game of the slate, it makes some sense here. I'm curious to see where the run total ends up right now. I got no run totals for each team. As I guess I don't know I honestly don't know what they're waiting on. So it's about 7:30, almost 8 o'clock in the morning. So we'll see if that comes out. But that's it, man. That is a look at this slate. So I think stack wise, I was interested in the Blue Jays, the Astros, and maybe the Indians a little bit. And maybe the Twins as some stuff I'm looking at. I'll definitely adjust up and tighten up my picks and plays a little bit more in this worksheet that I'll have set up when lineups start getting confirmed and start coming out. So if you guys want access to that, go to RunDFS.com, get yourself a VIP subscription. Any BVP plays of the day, I don't use it, but it's fun to look at sometimes. Edwin Encarnacion is too soon. Price, of course, is on the paternity list. Steve Pearce versus Jay Happ tonight. Pearce probably doesn't crack the lineup. That game, I think, is going to be the Sunday Night Baseball game. Anything else crazy? A bunch of twos. Who's got the most sample size today of at-bats against a pitcher? Gardner. It's all Yankees against Price. We got Ozuna against Tanner Roark. I guess that'll be on the afternoon slate. 44 at bats, 318 batting average. Tehran versus Derek Dietrich. Yeah. Normal stuff, man. If you guys got anything else for me, Twitter.com/GundeckerSports. That's the place to hit me up. DMs are open if you guys got questions about any of the season-long leagues, or if you're trying to lock in for the end-of-year special or the Super Bowl special. Hit me up. I don't mind helping you guys out. I'll be in the RunDFS.com Discord later on before lock, and then, of course, throughout the week as we get really, really close to return to NFL. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, which you are, help me out with that thumbs up. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't, if you like what you heard. Maybe one day I'll get signed to one of the big boys, and you can hear me on a bigger scale. I love you guys. Hope you have a great Sunday. It's rainy here, and I'll see you sooner or later. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.